To 6:15, and once more from the AA, here's Irene O'Brien.
Thanks, Niall. We're once again to Roscommon and the N4. Dublin Sligo Road remains completely blocked.
If you thought that you had to spend big to wear vintage, then think again. I think a lot of people watching may think that vintage might be out of their budget, but I mean, you can actually get bargains when it comes to vintage shopping.
You definitely can. I think it's because we see people at the Oscars in vintage Dior and vintage De La Renta, and people think that that's just for the rich and famous, and it's not like that at all. There's so much more out there than your very high-end vintage. So everything that we featured today was under €100, which is really good. Yeah.
My girlfriend keeps freezing on me.
Restore, repair. We'd all like to reinvent our wardrobe without dipping too much into the overdraft. So we offer you the solution in the form of a sewing lesson.
But this fashion love affair began long before 1961, as explained by vintage stylist Irene O'Brien.
Prior to the 1920s, it was seen as a little bit crude to wear black because it was reserved for those in mourning and they had to wear it for over a year. So women were never seen in black.
But are we still too close to the 80s to appreciate the fashion of that era?
I kind of think we are. I mean, I think we've all looked at the dress today and we oohed and we ahed, but I think people mightn't get it yet. It might be still borderline costume, fancy dress. I think that given another 10 or 20 years and everyone will love it.
And we'll give you some tricks of the trade on how to reinvent those tired clothes. Now, Dublin is now a mecca for the savvy shopper. So I'm going to be visiting the car boot sales that are buzzing, the flea markets that are bustling, and the charity shops that are reinventing chic to find you the bargain pieces to make your very own.
It's so frustrating. Maybe it's because everyone else is online at the same time.
The thing you have to appreciate is a lot of these nasty synthetic fabrics have actually lasted a long time, you know, and the reason they came into existence after World War II is because so many of the natural fabrics were being used for parachutes and uniforms. So this is why the synthetic fabrics came along. So actually, yes, they can be a little bit scratchy and not the nicest to wear sometimes, but for an occasion or for an event, you're only wearing it for a few hours, and you have to appreciate that if you want to get the original style, sometimes it will come in those fabrics. You know, the 50s was a really feminine but easy to wear clothes, and people celebrated their femininity. 20s is probably as old as we have, and then you're talking really delicate, and they're so in demand because you have Boardwalk Empire now, everyone's watching that, and it looks amazing, obviously. And they'll probably be more expensive, they're more rare, and if they've lasted this long in mint condition, they're so special.
But with a piece that could be anything up to 90 years old, is it not going to fall apart on your wedding day?
You have to appreciate how long they have lasted, and anyone looking for a vintage bridal dress in perfect condition, they're going to be really disappointed, you know. So you have to think if there's a little nick on it, well, maybe that was the dad walking her down the aisle, or, you know, I like to add a story to what if there's flaws, but I don't think of them as flaws, I think of them as history, you know, so feminine and beautiful. And I think that's why you find 50s is without doubt the most popular era for vintage lovers, and there'll be plenty of that on Sunday as well at the fair.
Party, fuel your imagination.